Happy Monday, fourth graders. This is Mrs. Nurse. Welcome back to another day of learning. We are going to review a lesson that Mrs. Frakes introduced the previous week. Today we're going to talk about exponents. So if you recall, I'm going to write a problem down here. 2 to the third power. Okay, what does that mean? This number here we call a base. You learned this with Mrs. Frakes. This number up high here, this is called an exponent. Exponent. All right. So, what does that mean? Let me get my little eraser out here and erase this. All right. That means if we take that number 2, we're going to write an equation to represent that. That means we're going to take the number 2 and we're going to multiply it 3 times. So it's important for you to write that down on your piece of paper. So please make sure you have paper and pencil today for the lessons that we're doing so that you can do this with me. All right, so the first thing I like to do is take the first equation and kind of like write down a little curve here to remind myself what I'm multiplying. So 2 times 2 gives us a product of what? 4. Good. Write that down. Now, if you take that product 4, you're going to multiply that times the other 2. So 4 times 2 gives us what? You said it. A product of 8. So 2 to the third power is 8. Very good. All right. Now, if we continue moving on, we're going to do another problem, but this time we're going to use exponents to solve an equation. And I think you practiced this a little bit with Mrs. Frakes last week as well. We're going to start really basic. So for example, if we have 2 to the fourth power minus 1 to the third power equals some answer. Okay. So first thing we want to do is we want to look at each individual exponent. So if we have 2 to the fourth power, we're going to solve that first. So let's write that down. 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. Because that number up top, the 4, tells you how many times you're going to write that down. 2, 4 times. Now, if you remember, we're going to start first. We know from our previous video that 2 times 2 is 4. I like to still write it down. I think it's important to do that. 4 times 2 gives us what? 8. Good. And then 8 times 2 is 16. Good job. Now, I'm going to see if I can switch my color here. Yep, we can do that. I'm going to write down 16 here up above, or kind of to the side so I can remember. Okay, now we're going to solve the other side. So 1 to the third power. That would be 1 times 1 times 1. So 1 3 times. If you think about it, what is 1 times 1? 1. 1 times 1 is 1. All right, very good. So, I'm going to switch my color again back to red. We have 1. All right, now we're going to take those two numbers, 16 minus 1, and that gives us a final answer of 15. If you got that right, great job. Get ready for another problem.